I did some damage. I bought more books. Starting with the NYRBs, I actually got these during Black Friday or Halloween. I can't really remember. I forgot to mention these on camera. NYRB does an annual sale site-wide, and you can get almost all of their books for up to 40% off, and I couldn't pass up on that offer. Bambi by Felix Salten. This is translated from German and the original piece of work that loosely inspired Disney's animated film Bambi. The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim. This story follows 4 women who vacations in this Italian castle, and there they discuss about their dissatisfaction with their lives and their husbands, which sounds lovely. The Mad and the Bad by Jean or John Patrick Manchet. This is a whodunit murder mystery translated from French. I picked this up just because I haven't seen many video reviews on this and I was curious. It also reminded me of Strange Pictures by Uketsu, which had a very similar concept. And finally, The Sweet Dove Died by Barbara Pym. I think this one follows a woman who forms this weird obsessive attachment with her husband's much younger nephew. I then went to McNally Jackson in Soho. I usually go to the Soho or Rockefeller location just because they're the most accessible to me, but my favorite location by far is definitely the Seaport branch. I would highly suggest and recommend perusing around the bookstore. I think it's gorgeous there. For me personally, I just rarely go there because it's located in Fidei and I have no reason to be there. I picked up The Secret History by Donna Tartt in the Soho location, finally. The story follows a group of university students trying to uncover the mystery behind one of their classmates' death. Donna Tartt herself narrates the audiobook, so I am keen to listening along as I read this. Yesterday, me and my friend went to Barnes & Noble's for their 25% in-store sale, and we both walked out with 2 books. I got Paradise Rot by Jenny Haval. I'm not sure what language this is translated from. It's about 2 women who happen to be roommates, and their relationship blossoms into this sexual queer awakening. And lastly, Winter Love by Han Soo-yin. The story also follows 2 women who forms this toxic, forbidden romance with one another, mainly because one of the women is already married to a man. And that is my book haul. This is bad. I have a lot of books on my physical TBR that I have yet to read, and I have no more space to be putting this. And while I'm at it, I do want to share my vinyl slash record collection. I'm unsure if you guys know, but me and my sister are planning to move, and once we do, we will buy a record player. So this past year, we've been collecting and curating our vinyl record collection, and these are the ones that we have so far. So we have some Getz and Gilberto, Ella Fitzgerald, Chet Baker, another Getz and Bird. But these are all jazz and samba. We love jazz and we love samba, which is why we got these. My sister actually got these in Boston. I don't know which vinyl record store she got these from, but it was a secondhand record store. We definitely want to buy some more bossa novas. We have Lisa Ono on our watch list as well, so that will definitely be added to the collection very soon. This is my recent purchase, Leve's A Matter of Time. I got this during Black Friday. I opened this on camera before, but this is Kali Uchis Red Moon in Venus. This I haven't talked about before. I actually went to Ichika Aoba's concert this past May. I went by myself and it was so magical. So I bought the LP at the venue. This is Luminescent Creatures. This I've also opened on camera before. Anomalies in the Oddity Space. I always mess up the title. And this is from the Poles. I got this in Korea with my friend. And finally, Leve's Bewitched Goddess Edition, our very first vinyl of our collection. Those are the ones that we own so far. Other than Lisa Ono, I have the Maria's Super Clean, Volume 1 and Volume 2, Cinema, and Submarine on my watch list, as well as Tyler the Creator's Don't Tap the Glass. I was looking all over the internet for it, but it's sold out everywhere. And I couldn't get my hands on it when it first released. So now I'm very upset because I don't know where else to be buying it. I could purchase it through eBay. As of right now, those are my only vinyls on my watch list. I'm about to make some tea because I'm going to read before going to sleep tonight. But I wanted to share the 3 teas that I've been really liking recently. This is Moomin Besties. My sister got this from London. And there's 4 separate flavors. These are all black teas, and the ones I've tried has flavors of truffle and chocolate. This one smells amazing. And then this one is flavors of rhubarb and strawberry. And then I've also been really liking these 2. This is Ocelok. I got them from Korea. The 2 flavors I have are honey pear tea and Jeju camellia tea. I do think that this is way more fruitier, and this one smells like sweet tea. I don't know which one I should make tonight. Maybe I'll try something new. So this one is vanilla and red berry flavored. This one is wild strawberry. I think I'm gonna go for this one. This one's titled Rosy Dreams. The other ones also have names. Wonders of the World, Moomin Mama's Magic Potion. This one's really cute. The wild strawberry flavored is Sweetheart. Very cute. I'm gonna do Rosy Dreams. Usually me and my sister share a tea bag, but she had to head back up for school. So I guess this tea bag will be all for me. Also, this cup is from Snoopy Chaya. I got it in the Nishiki market from Kyoto. It's really cute. Me and my sister has a matching one, except hers has a different design. I made a tentative reading plan for the rest of this year. I made a similar plan back in April or May of last year. Even though it was not entirely definitive, I stuck through with majority of the books, excluding the ones that I spontaneously included as I was reading throughout the months, but these are the ones that I want to read from my physical TBR this year. I've already started Abigail, which I'm close to the 50% mark, and then February I want to get through Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I know that there's a movie coming out in February with Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie, so because I'm planning to watch that in theaters, I want to get through the book as well. The Unpassing by Chia Chia Lin. I wanted to read a contemporary book right after a classic in case I feel that the classic might be a bit too difficult or dense to read. And then this one's a no-brainer. The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim for April. Wednesday's Child by Yoon Lee. This is a collection of short stories I hope to read in May. And then James Baldwin, Giovanni's Room for June. I feel like June is a good month for James Baldwin. It's either Giovanni's Room or The Fire Next Time, but I don't have a physical copy of that. And I want to keep it in my collection because I know I would love it. But they only have the Penguin Modern's classic cover that I really want available in the UK. So I might have to buy it directly from the UK, but if I can't get my hands on that, then Giovanni's Room will definitely be My second option, The Wall by Marlene Haushofer for July. July is a very slow month to me, and I think this would be a very suitable book because this is also quite slow. And then wrapping up the summer with Three Summers by Margarita Liberace in August. Emma by Jane Austen for September. I might regret this. I don't know if I want to keep it for September because Jane Austen seems so much like a spring author to me, but I don't know. Maybe I'll change this one up. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This one's a no-brainer as well. Perfect for October. A Private Affair by Beppe Finoglio. This one's for November. And then finally, Winter Love by Han Soo-yin for December. And those are the books that I have planned out for the rest of this year. I don't know if I will stick through all of this because they are quite long, but because I had a goal of reading one book per month, maybe this would be doable for me. I just made a prototype of my leather journal, but with a piece of paper. I'm extremely satisfied with it. I will say, because the paper is extremely delicate, I will need to adjust several of the measurements so that I can fit more than one notebook into the journal, but it's also because I'm working with leather and it's much thicker, but I like it so far. I think I did a pretty good job. It did take me 2 tries to get this right though. With the piece of paper, the very first time, I think I underestimated the size. This is such a fun project. I will say I'm still debating about whether or not I should upload a video of me, documenting my process and also like a tutorial of some sort. I also wanted to share one other thing. I was reviewing the footage that I filmed several days ago about my tentative yearly reading plans. I ended up making several changes because I was unsure about several of the books I had mentioned. So starting off with Jane Austen, which was the one that I knew I was going to regret placing into September. I don't know which Jane Austen I want to read yet. I haven't read Pride and Prejudice. I've already watched the movie and I loved the movie so much, but I do plan on reading Persuasion and Emma sometime soon just because I have a copy of those. I'm going to switch out my May read for a Jane Austen book, and then I think I placed Wednesday's Child for May, and I'm going to put that for September instead. I also had an August read, which was Three Summers by Margarita Liberace. I also want to get to Paradise Rot by Jenny Haval, and I think that would be a good August read as well. Once the month comes, I'll debate between the two then. I would share a reading update, but I want to talk a little bit more about that in a few days, maybe even weeks, because I am slowly but surely getting through Abigail. And I had put a stop on another book I've been reading on my Kindle. I'll talk about that with my thoughts on Abigail, just because the two kind of correlate with one another, and I thought it would be a good companion piece to talk about. My meeting just got postponed. I have an inkling that it will be through Zoom. I got ready. I was just about to head out the door. Nevertheless, I do still want to go out. I think I'm gonna stop by the New York Public Library. The one I frequent to the most is the Stravos branch. It's my home library, and I'm not really feeling the library over there today. I think I'm gonna actually go to the New York Public Library that sits right on Bryant Park, and it just so happens to be across the street from Stravos. I'm gonna go and get some work done because I actually have a lot of tasks to do. I also feel like I haven't done much book thoughts or reading updates, so I'm actually going to talk about that really quickly before I head out. I mentioned this 5 million times at this point in this video. Abigail by Magda Szabo, I'm actually close to finishing it. I have 3 more chapters left, which is 60 to 70 pages. I'm actually listening to the audiobook on Spotify while reading this. and I love the narrator's voice. Really sets the atmosphere, and I've been reading this almost every single night. I am flying through it because of that. I've also been reading Enemy of the People by Terence Petty on my Kindle. It is a nonfiction, and it highlights the news media, specifically the Munich Post during times of World War II, and how they were heavily affected by Hitler's dictatorship. It just so happens that Abigail, the setting is taken place during World War II in Hungary. I mean, it does correlate to some extent, because wartime is also seen as a topic and theme in this book. But that's not the main reason why I picked up Enemy of the People. I just so happened to be scrolling through my Kindle app, saw that it was free, so I downloaded it. A lot of the sentences are making comparisons to very familiar, recognizable phrases and sentences that are said by Trump. And I found that very worrying but interesting, because there are so many parallels highlighting Hitler's dictatorship in Germany with Trump's presidency in the United States. Just reading it and seeing the similarities between the two has got me feeling a little shaken up, I won't lie. I mean, to a certain extent, we kind of see the comparison, and we've made comparisons. And when I mean we, I mean like the public, and also from the discourse I see on news media, social media. But to read phrases and sentences that are so similar to things that Trump has said in a book that's highlighting the Nazi Party, yeah, I feel that's extremely... I could see that the book is trying to highlight the gravity of the situation at the time, but also correlates to the recent political climate. I realized that I did not really go too much into depth about Abigail by Magda Szabo. It has been over a week, and I did finish both books, but I wanted to come back on to speak a little bit more about Abigail. I understand why so many people love this book. It's for a good reason. It covers topics related to girlhood, which is the main theme throughout this book, but also war times, which I thought was a very complex but interesting take on how that affects relationships between young girls and those who are coming of age. I also really liked how Magda Szabo paints this small little picture of what's happening within the walls of the boarding school, but it is clear that outside of the school there is a much more heavy matter at hand, which is World War II, and how Gina's most trusted family member, her father, is also being heavily impacted by this war. And this also kind of correlates a little bit to her coming of age story, and also how she grows as a person throughout the story. 2/3 of the book was showcasing vignettes of Gina's school life at the boarding school. And then I'd say the last third of the book was when we really get into the nitty-gritty of Abigail, her actions, and how she ultimately changes Gina at the very end. I did read a chapter every single day, and even so, the story felt like it was going in a very, very slow pace. The last sentence does give out a spoiler, so if you're the type of person to either read the very first sentence of the book or the very last sentence of the book before actually starting it, I would say beware. The last sentence does give out spoilers. However, I will say that the very last paragraph, including the last sentence, definitely left a lasting impression on me, for sure. So that was Abigail, and I'll lightly cover Enemy of the People because I've talked a lot about it in the previous clip. One thing that I forgot to mention about the book is how it is mainly highlighting censorship. It is very clear that censorship has become an emerging topic, especially once Trump got back into office. The way that the media is being censored during Hitler's dictatorship and also during Trump's presidency, again, we can see the similarities between the two. I will also say that the book is short. I think it was only less than 60 pages. And so even though they do provide a lot of stories about the upbringings and also the challenges many of the editors and writers of the Munich Post were going through during Hitler's dictatorship and World War II, I didn't think, or I didn't feel like it was enough. I wanted to read more. I wanted to also get a little bit more insight about that. And also, the book was throwing out a lot of names that I was not familiar with. There was no context behind it. And so I was also left lost in the dark in that respect. I will say that it is a good read, especially if you're comparing it to the present day. And I would recommend it, though this only provides just enough for you to get an understanding of how it is also relevant to times of the present. But yes, that concludes my reading updates. I'm sorry I had to pop in the middle of this little segment. I believe the next clip will be me going to the library